for the last time, Mr. J. Reed, stop sliding into my DMs. Oh, sorry. Just checking my gram. Mates, with the amount of confusion and distress this pandemic has caused, the world desperately needed its heroes. And while scientists, doctors, and specialists heard and heeded the call, unfortunately for us, so did the idiots. In fact, in the past 2 years, we saw a meteoric rise of the mostly anonymous self-proclaimed expert whose credentials include a master's degree in Twitter trolling, being well-versed in the second and third pages of Google, and earning a diploma from the University of Facebook. Actually, not even sure if we're allowed to talk about them. They're listening to every word we say. So mates, put on those tinfoil hats, cause we're going on a deep dive into the world of the ridiculous and oftentimes downright stupid. Cause as they say, sane and logical explanations are just not as fun as ignorant and sometimes fear-mongering lunacy. I am Bogart the Explorer from the Bow City, and this is an extremely Bogart take on conspiracy theories. Let's go. Conspiracy theories are nothing new, and each of us will believe in at least one conspiracy theory in our lifetime. 9/11 was an inside job, the moon landing was a complete hoax, Elvis and Tupac are still alive, Paul McCartney's actually dead, and Justin Bieber is a lizard. Though that last one might actually be true. Now, most of these are relatively harmless, but there are levels to this. If somebody believes that aliens exist, then that's totally acceptable. I mean, we can't really disprove it either, right? And if someone decides to create a 10-man expedition in search of Bigfoot, well, then that's kinda oddly unnecessary. But hey, who knows? Maybe they're just hoping to make the next hit Netflix documentary. But when thousands of conspiracy theorists congregate in their very own culty convention, well, that can be somewhat of a problem. Take the flat earth theory, for instance. You mean to tell me that the very concept of the Earth as a floating mass in space and backed by a plethora of scientific evidence is completely unbelievable to a flat earther, but the unfounded idea of the Earth being the sole planet in our galaxy that's a flat disk and is surrounded by ice or mountains of ice and encased in a dome that is heavily guarded by evil governments sounds completely sane? Mind you, not only does a flat earth society exist, but their community is huge. In fact, in a recent survey, 2% of Americans said the world is downright flat. And with a population of 300 million, that is, a lot of people. Flat earthers don't just live in one part of the world as well, as there are flat earthers, well, ironically for them I guess, around the globe. And trust me mates, I know all this personally because, believe it or not, I too was once a flat earther for a good 5 or 6 years, up until I turned 7. Needless to say, this is just the tip of the conspiracy iceberg. This pandemic alone has birthed countless of conspiracy theories as well as theorists. From the QAnons to anti-vaxxers, or as I would like to call them, pro-plaguers, to the subgroup anti-maskers. And who can forget the ever-growing Council of Carers.
Are you filming me?
People have always been using the digital space to find and lure skeptics with gross misinformation. What's even more disturbing is the fact that no matter how absurd a theory sounds, people in their communities are now primed to believe them and even defend them, violently if needed. Imagine, in the history of the United States of America, no foreign power has ever breached the US Capitol, yet just a little over a year ago, a Viking, a Pinoy Captain America, and whoever this guy was, were able to do so. And if that's not worrying enough, just check out these wild conspiracy theories on the recent COVID outbreak. For example, one crazy theory was how Microsoft billionaire Bill Gates planned to inject us with a microchip through vaccines and in turn establish a global surveillance system to track our every move. Mate, those already exist. They're called cell phones. This conspiracy has mutated faster than the virus itself, as several first used magnets on injection sites and hilarious attempts to prove that microchips in their arms existed. And with all the problems this world is facing, scientists have to waste so much of their time just to debunk something so totally untrue that the theory itself doesn't stick. Or maybe try taking a bath for once. And just when you think that it couldn't get any worse, a handful of people here in the Philippines even believe that those very metal ingredients in the vaccine will turn the vaccinated into zombies. Well, joke's on them, because once all of us vaccinated turn into murderous undead creatures craving for human flesh, who do you think we're all going after? I guess it's easy to simply hate on pretty much anyone who's willing to blatantly ignore any proof or evidence for the sake of being right. Actually, several of these conspiracies that we encounter can be traced back to fear and distrust. Whether it's lack of faith in the government, our health systems, or social structures, the true origin for their beliefs is, well, fear itself. Or as far as flat earthers go, sphere itself. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we have to constantly remind ourselves as a society that we must all be responsible with our thoughts and be better with our actions. More importantly, we have to do our best in understanding others, no matter how outlandish conspiracy theories they may have, if we are to even have a chance in solving this problem. So the next time you meet a conspiracy theorist who's sharing a completely crazy idea, learn to first listen properly and kindly educate when needed. And if that doesn't work, just try to out-crazy them. Didn't you know the moon landing was fake? You still think the moon is real? And that's it, mates. That was an extremely Bogart take on conspiracy theories. Honestly, I can't wait for the day conspiracy theorists discover that they are all a part of a larger conspiracy to use conspiracy theorists only to spread even more disinformation about conspiracy theories. Mates, we didn't have the time to dissect all the conspiracies. If there's a particular conspiracy you want us to do a deep dive in, let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe. Cheers!